a little catch-up session from cloudDNA HQ. Just a very few members of staff in the office at the moment, starting to get some normality back into the working life. And what does normal look like now? We've seen many organisations that have moved from that crisis phase and a rapidly deployed working from home solution, trying to extend that WFH thought process now as the new normal starts to take shape, and then really started to plot where the gaps are. I guess we're starting to find these organisations that have managed to get folks off-site and working remotely have seen similar sort of challenges regardless of what kind of organisation they are, what vertical they play in, what space they play in. Finding security and performance is typically where the gaps are really appearing. We're starting to get this situation where folks are genuinely concerned about data loss and about where their data's going, about maintaining compliancy and maintaining a great user experience. So we're starting to see this kind of challenge about visibility, about what good UX looks like, what good security looks like, and ultimately kind of building out the way that we would typically look at our infrastructure and start to put some productivity metrics in around that. I've had some really interesting stories along the way. We've had some folks that have got it right bang on first time. We've had other folks that have really overcomplicated matters involving too many folks. I've heard of an NHS trust that asked 4 Citrix partners for their opinion on what they should do, and they got 4 different responses back, and now that's only over confused matters. But hurried plans that just about hold together, you know, that's okay, but we've got to find a better way of working here. If you need a consolidated sort of thought process, looking at ways of plugging the gaps around user experience, about security, about productivity, there needs to be some kind of rationalization going on here. And really, I guess the story so far is where we're getting to with that. Now, depending on whether you're delivering digital workspaces or you're delivering web services, your world may be a different place now than it was 2, 3, 4 months ago. But when we're looking at the highs and lows, I guess, of our workspace and our digital workspaces, our traditional remote access solution type of scenarios, we've had some great comments from customer base here in the UK, City based in London, delivering services out across the globe. We worked with an organisation 18 months ago to help them build a business continuity structure, and we had the conversation from their head of IT this last few days, just saying, look, we built it, we didn't think we'd need to use it, but we're certainly glad that we did have it in place, because when the call came, we could completely close the offices. Folks worked remotely from home securely using Citrix technologies, and it is absolutely business as usual for those guys. They were the lucky ones. We've also seen, on the complete opposite end of a scale, another NHS trust that genuinely considered physically removing desktop PCs, monitors, keyboards, mice from folks' office desks and taking them to their home locations and asking them to plug in from a VPN. Just leave you with that thought for a moment. Now, if you work on the technical side of the industry, you immediately think, my God, how do we actually keep that secure? Really? Does somebody have one of these things sat on a desk and it's full of NHS customer... they don't call them customers, do they? They call them patients. They're full of NHS patient data. If that gets stolen from somebody's house, could that be a challenge? Well, yeah, probably. So we're going to encrypt it, then we're going to put on a whole bunch of different mechanisms to try and manage the thing remotely. It's just a nightmare. And also there's an extra strain that's going on here, which is a really common industry theory that you hear at the moment, or a common industry gripe at the moment, is the VPN aggregators, concentrators, VPN providing kit just can't cope with all this fat traffic that's moving around. Fat PCs sat on people's desks moving big files around. It's a recipe for poor performance, poor user experience, or you need to go and invest some money and boost up your VPN capability so you've got enough grunt to be able to deliver all these sessions in a timely fashion. Citrix have just announced a pay-as-you-grow license model, or an expansion model for that. So if you are interested in finding ways to scale out the capability of your VPN, Citrix have got you covered commercially, and the cloudDNA team have been working with a lot of organisations how to tweak the configuration and work a bit smarter on the box, maybe prioritize where the effort of your computational resources going on your appliances, so you can start to really address that. So a couple of different ways of playing around with that. But if you're a web-centric organization, you're not really into VPNs and those sorts of things. It's more about scale. It's more about user experience. And we've got these two systems sort of scenarios at the moment. And those organizations that have been able to embrace this new influx of digital interest in the services that they provide from their website have really excelled. If you look at Zoom and you look at other online organizations, they've scaled massively. And it's it's a really interesting point, isn't it? Because what happens next? Digital, it's like, money used to make the world go round, but now data does. And as we've moved out this way, did you find yourself in a website where you were actually queuing and it told you how long you were going to be in the queue before you could get in? Really? In 2020, you're making people queue to come at the front door? I know, I get that if you're in a physical store and we've got to be 2 meters, 6 feet apart, but really, in this day and age, if you're doing that, it's 2020, guys, that shouldn't happen. There's so many ways you can work smarter these days that web services can expand and contract in line with your consumer demand. We can automate those processes and we can work smarter. And that leads us into a very neat piece about the kind of influx of organizations consuming services from public cloud to allow them to scale without physical infrastructure going into their data centers. So scaling in the public cloud, whether this is Azure, AWS, or one of the other players that's in there, there's so many of them, there's plenty of discussion topics depending on which vendor you've aligned yourself to, but the challenges remain the same all there. We've had these calls and conversations coming in saying now we're a month in, we've invested the time and effort to get the technology right so that we can deliver the services to our user base, but my goodness me, the clock cycles are adding up and the costs associated with delivering those services from those public cloud platforms have started to become quite challenging for a lot of organizations, especially as we're looking to extend this out for a longer period of time. So you might have seen already on the social channels, we've got a whole Get More from Azure series that covers out ways to work far more smarter, far more efficiently in those public cloud environments. It's called More from Azure, but the principles and the practices in there work for every other platform, regardless of whether it's public cloud or your traditional physical data center. So if you haven't done that yet, check us out on the website, on LinkedIn, on our YouTube channel. Just check out cloudDNA, have a Google for that and you'll find us. I guess what really has happened there is that we've learned now that maybe by accident or maybe by design or maybe just by trying to push some kind of business continuity plan into production, we've ended up creating inadvertently a hybrid multi-cloud environment in its true organic sense, and the way that we plumb all that together and secure the services and gain some visibility into what good user experience looks like in that scenario starts to expand out another part of our conversation base. So you'll start to see more about this hybrid multi-cloud messaging over the course of the next week or two coming from the cloudDNA team. But as usual, this is just a quick update, give you an idea what's going on in the world and what some other folks are doing, but lots of different ways that Citrix Cloud Networking Technologies and the cloudDNA team can help you overcome those challenges if you recognize any of the things that were spoken about, or you've got something that's a little bit more unique to your own environment. Get in touch. We're always pleased to talk. It's always a pleasure to help out. Stay safe.